Summer is supposed to be an opportunity to slow down, but when you look at your kids, you can't help but notice that your kids are growing up fast. Help them build independence as they grow with Greenlight. Greenlight is a debit card and money app for families where parents can keep an eye on kids' money habits while kids learn how to save, invest, and spend wisely. It's the easy, convenient way to raise financially smart kids. Get your first month free when you sign up at greenlight.com/pod.
Hello everybody and welcome to another episode of Attack the Baseline, a WNBA podcast where every episode we attack our baseline knowledge of the WNBA. And we're back, just a day since our last episode, Kristen and I here to discuss the Los Angeles Sparks and their franchise and their current 6-21 record. Kristen, before we dig into the LA Sparks, how have you been since yesterday when we last recorded about the return of the WNBA?
Good. Today I wore my U.S. women's basketball team shirt to work that I just got.
Playa Society, right?
Yeah. They have really cool shirts and sweatshirts. You can see a picture of the shirt I got on our Twitter.
Yes.
So I work in a school. And this hasn't started yet for the school year, so not many people were there. But one of my coworkers said, "Oh, I like your shirt," so that was nice. But it's starting. It's very heavy. It's like some of sections of the design are like coming off. So I don't know how often I'm gonna get to wear this shirt.
Coming off?
Like this little bit on Diana Taurasi's face.
Oh, it's like
coming off.
Oh, jeez. Yeah, it's got a lot of paint on it. It's a very cool shirt.
Yeah.
And I guess I just realized that I thought it was called Playa Society. It's Playa Society, not like beach in Spanish. Playa makes more sense. So
yeah,
Playa
that's
Society,
correct.
Playa. Yes, as Kristen said, you can check that out on our Twitter, ATBpod_. You can also send us an email if you want a better picture of the shirt, maybe. At attackthebaseline@gmail.com. So, I think you should wear it when the kids are back in school. See if the kids think it's cool.
Yeah.
Because I bet the kids will. At least one.
Yeah. At least some of the kids will know.
Right.
At least some of like the older girls, our basketball team.
Right, the 7th graders, 8th graders.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, that would be cool. Anyway, LA Sparks talk. We're here, just Kristen and I, to talk about 3 games that were played by the Los Angeles Sparks this week. Games against the Liberty, against the Sky, and against the Aces. Normally, we would have a guest on this spot. If you've seen our previous format for these things. But there aren't a ton of LA Sparks fans, at least in the state of Pennsylvania.
Yeah. Oh, I'm sure there are in LA.
There definitely are.
Yeah, not around here.
Just none that came out of the woodwork. If you are an LA Sparks fan, please let us know. We'd love to hear how rabid of a LA Sparks fan you are. But I know that next year there will likely be a considerable influx of LA Sparks fans if things go a certain way, which we'll talk about in this podcast, similar to the way that Indiana Fever took off this year. Mm-hmm. You probably know what I'm talking about, but if you don't, then you'll find out later. But the LA Sparks... general top things that we know about the LA Sparks. They were one of the original teams, founded in 97. They've had many greats that they've drafted, many greats that have played on their team. Some interesting names, which I'll list off in a little bit. Head coach, Curt Miller, who was one of the members of the Olympic staff, helping out Cheryl Reeve bring a gold to the women's team. A good coach on a bad team, which is not really a bad position to be in because they're not going to want to fire him despite being 6-21.
Mm-hmm.
And
no, I love him. I love Curt Miller. Yeah. He's the first openly gay head coach in basketball.
I didn't even know that.
Yes.
That's a good fact.
He's very big about wanting to be a role model, especially for young boys. because, women, it's different. The culture of the W is, much more accepting. But he's just spoken about how he has seen many young boys and young men not continue to play basketball because they don't feel included and they don't feel welcome. Young boys who are gay, they stop playing. So he strives to be a role model for the community,
Right.
And someone that they can look up to and they can continue playing.
In the NBA, where a league that is not, does not, as I am aware of, have any openly gay players, or has ever maybe had any openly gay players, maybe post play, but at least that is an area that the NBA could always improve upon, and always be more inclusive. And I'm sure most of the players are cool, but not all of them. So it's good that Kurt Miller is being that sort of a role model. So shout out to Kurt. What are some of your impressions about the LA Sparks as a franchise? Just when you think about them, I'm curious, because I feel like they're like the most blatantly NBA paired franchise.
Yeah, no, that's what I was thinking. Like, I think originally every W team was paired essentially with an NBA team.
Of course.
But yeah, I definitely think that the Sparks feel the most like an NBA team. They basically look just like the Lakers.
Right.
They have the same exact colors. Their logo, they use some different fonts in this year at least.
True.
Like they're using teal this year, which I do love that.
You like the teal? I thought you didn't like the teal.
No, I love the teal.
But you don't like it on the court? Or you do like it on the court?
It's when the teal is next to the yellow. Mm-hmm. The yellow, sorry. I hate it.
Kristen is not a fan of Lakers yellow. I keep saying, but these are the Lakers colors.
That doesn't mean anything to me.
I know. She doesn't have and I personally don't have a ton of, a strong opinion about the Lakers yellow and purple. But I also don't look at it and say, oh, those jerseys are bad. Kristen will look at the yellow jerseys that the Sparks wear and be like, ugh.
It's because they also have, and I don't know obviously what every single Lakers jersey has looked like, but the Sparks their yellow jersey is so weird because it has the purple outline, but then it also has a black stripe that goes down. So it's like this dark purple next to black, and I'm like, is that purple or is that black? I hate that part of the jersey. But yeah, I would say the Sparks feel like the Lakers to me.
Yeah.
As much as like the Lynx have basically the same exact logo as the Timberwolves.
Right.
That still feels different.
Correct. Well, and the Sparks are a storied franchise. They're one of these original franchises. They've won 3 titles. They won in 2001, 2002, and 2016. So they've been good for a long time. Looking at some of their finishes historically, this is like the most blatant tank year that they've really ever had. They've had number 1 overall picks in the past, but they are shooting high for Paige Bueckers, which, I alluded to this earlier. Paige, and if you go back and listen to when we first talked about the LA Sparks in like our second or third podcast, we said the Sparks want to lose. They have not much going on. They drafted Cam Brink 2nd overall.
And she did them a favor.
By getting hurt. It's basically been like the De'Arica Hamby show in LA. And she's not a long-standing member of this LA Sparks franchise. She's, as we learned yesterday, if you listen to the De'Arica Hamby lawsuit episode that we just put up, she's only been with the Sparks for 2 years, 2 seasons, a season and a half. So it's just like her doing everything and, some role player type players trying to figure it out.
Yeah. And like I don't know why I had this feeling. And let me know if you had a similar feeling or know what I mean. I feel like the Sparks don't feel like a solid team to me. They just felt like players doing kind of their own thing.
Yep.
I don't know if they like pass or have assists like less than other teams. It just like felt like they didn't gel together as a team, and like I was seeing them as individual players and not a team.
Well, one of the comments that you made to me when we were watching the games this week, we saw a lot of players playing.
I think they have the most players on their roster.
They have a lot because we think of players like Cam Brink and Lexi Brown and Ari McDonald, all these players that we didn't see play because they're hurt or out for different reasons.
Yeah.
Leisha Clarendon, like, they're also not here. Like, you think that there's more players than there are, but I think when players are hurt, that these W franchises, and correct me if I'm wrong, have this ability to sign hardship contracts, which we learned they did with Odyssey Sims, and I assume some of the other back of the bench players that they have, they're just kind of filling space. Like maybe there were some transactions earlier in the season that I just was unaware of because I wasn't following it so closely. But we saw like 12 or 13 different players play when some weeks we only saw 8.
No, I think in the Fever game this past week, they only played 7 players.
The Fever players, yes.
Yeah. And the Sparks, they literally have 14 people that I saw on the screen.
Right.
Like, huh?
Right.
It's crazy.
No, you're absolutely right. It's a bunch of puzzle pieces that don't fit together.
Yeah.
And that's fine when you're a bad team. Like, a team like the Detroit Pistons in the NBA is just like, here's like 5 centers and a bunch of random guys and like Cade Cunningham, who's like supposed to be really good. And like, I can't really relate Cade to De'Erico or Cam, but like you could relate Cade to Paige if Paige for some reason ends up as a spark and they're still not good. They're going to need to build a team, but right now is not when they want to build a good team because they're not trying to win.
Yeah,
so you absolutely nailed that. They are a different vibe, certainly, from the teams that we've already covered. And there's a reason that they're the worst team in the league right now by record, tied with the Washington Mystics, which I will ask you a question about that later.
Oh, okay.
Just to tease. But I'm going to list off some of their big-time draft picks. Just so historical draft picks, people that have been at least a draft pick. Not necessarily played with, like notable players like Lisa Leslie. She was one of their original GOATs. Helped them win those 2 championships early. Her number's retired. Chelsea Gray. She wasn't drafted by the Sparks, but she played for a long time with Sparks.
See, I can't picture Chelsea Gray wearing that yellow jersey.
No. Nope. No. Because she's like so iconically aces to me.
Yeah.
Because of all the like talk about when she's going to come back, the point guard, and then we see her that first time. So obviously, number 1, we know Candace Parker was drafted. Neko Ogwumike, who was a player that it didn't exactly click with me that she was there for as long as she was.
How long?
Her entire career before this year. She was a Sparks.
When was she drafted?
2011, 2012. I didn't write the dates down, but
okay.
All of that time.
Yeah, a long time.
And then just to go to Seattle.
Yeah.
Pretty crazy.
That's weird to me.
I was looking up GIFs to post on our Instagram or my Instagram to promote the show, and I was like, Los Angeles Sparks, and it's just all GIFs of NECA doing like making funny faces, and I'm like, I can't use that. She's not on the team anymore. So I didn't have anything.
Instagram doesn't keep up.
No. Jonquel Jones was drafted 6th overall by the LA Sparks. Can you imagine that?
Wow, no.
Marina Mabry was drafted 19th overall a couple years back.
She's already been on 2 teams, so I guess.
It's true. Sierra Burdick, who I wrote down just because she won a 3-on-3 medal at Paris. And obviously Cam Brink. And then I have in question marks Paige Bueckers because a lot of the mock drafts that we see are assuming that that Paige is going to go to LA.
Assuming that LA's gonna have the number 1 pick.
Right.
But it's still a lottery.
It's still a lottery. There's still a very good chance she goes to Washington.
Right.
There's a chance she goes to Dallas.
I'm rooting for that personally.
To Washington?
Yeah. Because then we can go.
That's true. That is very true. And she's close to do Connecticut at that point. I don't know.
And they have 2 picks. Washington.
Correct. They have 2 ways that they could get it. Via Atlanta, I believe, which is another bad team.
Right.
So really they have 2 shots, 2 bites at the apple.
Yeah.
But I think Atlanta might be too good to end up... They might be. If Atlanta makes the playoffs, they wouldn't have a chance to be in the lottery. So that would be 1 less chance.
Okay.
In which case that would probably be the Sky falling into the lottery. And her going to the Sky would also be interesting. I don't know.
That would be really interesting,
It would be great,
I think.
yeah. But who knows? So people are assuming that it's Paige. We'll see if it's Paige in the coming months. But yeah, those are just like the notable players. Like I think, really, it's just the NECA and Jonquil of it all. That
So
I was like,
there's really like a Sparks and Las Vegas pipeline here.
True.
Chelsea Gray, Candace Parker, Dearica Hamby situations.
True. I mean, West Coasters, Vegas wanting the best players makes sense. Sparks, who have been competitive in recent history and in past, all that good stuff. But yeah, blatant tank job by the LA Sparks, which was on full display this week as we watched 3 losses.
I don't mind it. I go for it.
Yeah, go for it. Do it. Let's talk about these games.
Okay.
First game. They play the New York Liberty on the 15th, and they get absolutely toasted. They lose 103 to 68. They lose by 35.
Yeah, perhaps the worst game we've seen.
Perhaps I would say a 35-point loss is easily the worst game that they played this week.
Yeah.
But that's when we saw all these different players. So you've got the list of all the players. If you want to run them down, I know we don't typically do this, but
it's just so many.
It's so many.
Okay, I can say them.
Who played in this game? Because some of these players didn't play in the other games this week.
That might be hard for me to say. Okay, well, it was Dearica Hamby, Laisha Clarendon.
Who did not play the other 2 games.
Right.
We did not see Laisha after this game.
Kia Nurse, who played in all of them.
Correct.
Azarae Stevens. Rakia Jackson.
Yep.
Lee Yaru.
Yep.
Crystal Dangerfield. Ray Burrell. Zaya Cook.
Steph Talbot.
They all played in the first game.
Oh, right.
Stephanie Talbot did not play in the first game, but she played
in the latter 2.
Yeah.
And we missed, like I said earlier, we missed out on Ari McDonald and Lexi Brown, who were 2 players that I was looking forward to watching.
I know.
Because I know I've seen in the limited Sparks watching, they're 2 very good. I say very good. They're 2 good, exciting guards that can shoot. And I learned in this first game that not a team built of many wheeling or high volume shooters like some of these other teams that we've followed.
No, well, that's why they're not good. What? So it was Ari McDonald's ankle.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
And then Lexi Brown has Crohn's disease.
Correct.
So she is really in and out.
Yeah,
I guess it's, when she's feeling good.
She's been out for a while, though.
Yeah. Recently.
And that was predating the Olympic break.
I thought she played in a game or 2.
I mean, she played, but I think it's been... I don't think she, popped back in and then went out. I think it's been 1 long stint. I know she had an early bout, and then she came back. But I think, she's been out for a long time, which is a shame, because I do think Lexi Brown is a fun player to watch. And if I remember, she was on the red carpet for the All-Star weekend. Definitely a higher profile player on this team full of, a lot of younger talent or misfitting pieces. But yeah, there's really not much to say about
this game. No. What I want to say about this game is I was very surprised the Liberty were going as hard as they were going.
True, because it's the first game back from the Olympics.
Right. They said it was 3 a.m. Olympic time, Paris time, when this game was being played.
Right.
And I'm like, okay, Brianna, I said to you before the game, Brianna Stewart, Sabrina, they might sit out. They might not even play. They played.
Stewie's like, I don't get jet lag. It's like, okay. Jeez.
Right. So they were like not letting up for some reason in this game. And I guess like when they're on such a roll, it's like you don't even want to mess with taking your foot off the gas. God forbid, they lose their momentum.
Oh yeah. No. Like Liberty, who we didn't mention this in yesterday's episode. Liberty have already secured a playoff spot, guaranteed. The first team just to lock up a playoff spot. So just by pressing this, it's easy for them to they want to maintain this 1 seed. They're building space. Connecticut lost a couple games, so they're not going to go easy on the Sparks.
Yeah, some of my notes for this game were: can we shoot a free throw?
I'm begging you, please.
Not good at threes. They get the ball stolen a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, they I don't know, work on your handling drills or something.
Yeah. It's also on display against the best team in...
One of the best defenses. That's fine.
One of the notes that I had was the commentators mid-game, mid-second quarter, they put up a graphic that said that LA had 14 attempts thus far, 14 shots, and the Liberty had 15 made shots compared to their 14 attempts. They'd already made more baskets than they had shot on the other side. It was that big of a beatdown.
Because Cam's not there to get the rebounds. They had more opportunities. They had a lot of turnovers.
Yeah.
So
it was just an all-around bad game that ends up with them getting crushed, which is the exact result that they would want.
I still had a good time. Yeah, that's fine. That's their goal.
Let's move on.
So we actually won that game.
This is a W. This is process brain. You want the bad losses. Moving on to game 2 against the Sky. This was their 11th different starting lineup. Game number 26, 11 different starting lineups. That's a lot.
Yeah, it's this roster. They keep bringing people in, then they get hurt. And it's just people in and out all the time.
Mm-hmm. And this is the first game that we get Odyssey Sims.
Yes.
Yes, Odyssey Sims, who received a call, get on a plane, we want to have you in LA. Odyssey comes over, they give her a jersey, number 6, no name, get out there. And Odyssey Sims, she's out there.
She did fine.
And it was a heck of a game.
This was a good game.
Sparks had a shot.
I think now with the Sky not having Marina, the Sky have a lot less shooters.
Correct. A very unwilling, they shot maybe 5. It felt like 5 threes that game. Yeah. It was a very small amount of threes. Not a traditional basketball team in the modern era.
No. So, I think they matched up well together, honestly, which is why I can see the Sky falling for sure out of the playoffs.
Yeah, the Sky's going to fall, just like falling. Chicken Little.
So this was a really good game, but the Sparks ended up losing 90-86. It was very close.
It was a close game. Some notable things. This is where we got to see Kia Nurse in full effect. She had a hot streak. She was making a ton of shots. She actually got hurt mid-game, came back, foot or leg injury. But she sort of woke me up to the idea of, okay, and this game in general woke me up to the idea, they know how, and Kurt knows how to spread the offense so that they can get shots. They were attempting and making threes by a bunch of different players.
They were attempting a lot of threes. No, this is definitely not a case of the coach doesn't know how to use the team. It's just they just aren't good shooters.
Right. Crystal Dangerfield, who's a player that has been on multiple 7-day contracts with them. They haven't officially signed her. I think she did 3 in a row, which is kind of crazy. Just sign her because she deserves it. You play her a ton. She can shoot. Obviously, Kia can shoot. And Dearica, I think, even had a 3 in this game. Steph Talbot was back. She could shoot. The announcers were speaking very fondly of Stephanie Talbot and her ability to do all the things. So it harkens back to a lot of these role players would be very helpful on other teams, I believe, in like a 8th or 9th woman position. But now it's just like, we don't know who's the best player on the team outside of Dearica, so kind of just all do your thing.
Yeah.
Something I learned from this from this game that I thought was neat is that Li Yaru, who is a member of the Chinese national team, she has worked with Yao Ming. Are you familiar with Yao Ming?
No.
One of the, if not the NBA's tallest historical player.
Oh.
I think he was like, I say that, I don't know if that's true. I think he was like 7'8" or 7'9". Crazy. Played for the Rockets. Very good player, very cool player, very popular player when we were kids. Has worked with Yao since 2017. So like, she's just been working with this like goated Chinese basketball player, and I think that's really cool. Okay. And I think that was a cool fun fact.
Yeah, that is cool.
So Lee and Yao, things you'll love to see.
Okay.
But yeah, tough game. A slow fourth sort of did them in, but that's okay. Another loss, that's a win. Especially a close loss. Those are the best kind of wins.
Yeah.
So then we move on to game number 3.
At first, it's at certain points of the game, I'm like, what are we doing? Are we winning or are we losing?
Guys are up 10. Time to
pull it back a little bit. Yeah.
Game 3 against the Aces. This is last night.
I was more hype for this game, I guess, going into it. It wasn't anything crazy.
It was topical. They always say Dearica Hamby plays well against the Aces. There's the lawsuit of it all. We were kind of hoping like, oh, is she going to go off?
Well, she was trying.
She was trying.
For sure. They were just guarding her very well, which I guess they haven't done previously. It was like every Aces player was just swatting the ball out of Dearica's hands.
Oh, yeah. I think the story of this game, it was largely back and forth in the second and the third. The Sparks were never out of it until the last few minutes of the game, which is good. It makes for a fun and exciting game. The biggest takeaway that I had was there was a particular play where Asia got the ball stripped from her hands, and I can't even recall who it was. I think it was Odyssey Sims. Odyssey Sims strips the ball of Asia. They go ahead. Odyssey passes to Ray Burrell. Ray Burrell passes back to Hamby outside of the arc, and Hamby drives the hoop and gets blocked by Tiffany Hayes and Asia at the same time, and it draws a technical foul on Asia, who like storms to the other side of the court. She throws the ball away. It was a very explosive play, and it just showed that there are tempers between the team, or maybe just specifically Dearica. I was like, wow, okay. I see it now. It's certainly something. There was like almost a bench clearing brawl, not to that effect, but a lot of chippiness, a lot more chippiness than we're used to seeing.
Yeah. Well, of course, the Aces are going to get some heat when they're losing to the Sparks, which
they weren't
did
losing
earlier.
They lost earlier in the season.
Right. You
Very
can't
true.
do that again.
It's true.
No, they're gonna take it.
Right. And they didn't take their foot off the gas. They win the game. The other story of the game, I think Odyssey Sims, who's trying to continue to play the rest of the season, tried a little too much in this game. A lot of missed bunnies, a lot of bad shots. So we love Odyssey Sims, but if she's going to help them lose games, they love her too. Anything else to say about the Aces game or any of the games? I mean, 3 pretty stone cold losses, so not the most exciting hoops, but good product for LA ultimately.
Yeah. No, it's looking up for them. Obviously, no, I think they're going to continue to lose, which is fine. That's what they want. So I'm rooting for them in a general sense.
Sure. You think that you could be a Paige Bueckers fan if she is an
I
LA
want
Spark?
to be a Paige Bueckers fan. Could I be a Sparks fan? I don't know.
Right.
I'll have to see.
Can't do the yellow.
Their white jerseys were really nice.
Do you like the white jerseys?
I love the white jerseys.
And the purple jerseys are nice too.
Yeah, the purple's fine.
And Cam's great too.
Yeah, I love Cam.
There was a shot of Cam on the bench with like a lollipop. She's just like chilling.
Yeah.
It's like, she definitely wanted, like, you can tell that she wants to play so bad. Like, she looks so bored. But she was slaying. She was slaying. I've got a couple questions.
Summer is supposed to be an opportunity to slow down, but when you look at your kids, you can't help but notice that your kids are growing up fast. Help them build independence as they grow with Greenlight. Greenlight is a debit card and money app for families where parents can keep an eye on kids' money habits while kids learn how to save, invest, and spend wisely. It's the easy, convenient way to raise financially smart kids. Get your first month free when you sign up at greenlight.com/pod.
Passion, drive, and patience. The formula for winning championships is also what keeps your ride or die alive. eBay Motors has everything you need to maintain your vehicle and level it up to peak performance. Superchargers, roof racks, exhaust kits, LED headlights, and more. Whether you're into speed, power, or style, eBay Motors has you covered. With over 122 million parts for your number one ride or die, you'll always find exactly what you're looking for. And with eBay Guaranteed Fit, your part is guaranteed to fit your ride every time or your money back. Because with eBay Motors, you're burning rubber, not cash. With all the parts you need at the prices you want, it's easy to make your car the MVP and bring home huge wins. Keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply. See ebaymotors.com.
Shopify is the global commerce platform that helps you sell at every stage of your business. Shopify is there to help you grow. Shopify helps you sell everywhere, from their all-in-one e-commerce platform to their in-person POS system. Shopify's got you covered. Shopify helps you turn browsers into buyers with the internet's best converting checkout, 36% better on average compared to other leading commerce platforms, and sell more with less effort thanks to Shopify Magic, your AI-powered all-star. What I love about Shopify is how no matter how big you want to grow, Shopify gives you everything you need to take control and take your business to the next level. Shopify powers 10% of all e-commerce in the U.S., and Shopify is the global force behind Allbirds, Rothy's, and Brooklinen, and millions of other entrepreneurs of every size across 175 countries. Plus, Shopify's award-winning help is there to support your success every step of the way. Because businesses that grow, grow with Shopify. Sign up for a $1 per month trial period at shopify.com/Westwood1, all lowercase. Go to shopify.com/Westwood1 now to grow your business, no matter what stage you're in. Shopify.com/Westwood1.
Questions for you. You've got a couple questions for me. Now that we've talked through the games, we know we recall some of the history. Why don't we go from the top? Your favorite player that you watched, that you got to watch this week?
Well, my favorite player for sure is Rickea Jackson.
I knew this. I knew this was going to be the end.
We
Not
knew.
mine.
Oh, okay.
No,
No,
I'm
we
gonna
knew.
defend
No, I love Rickea. I've loved her from the minute I saw her at the draft, because she slayed at the draft, and she just brings so much energy. There was a bunch of times, especially during the Aces game, where you could tell some of these other players were like nervous to drive to the basket, and they would be like passing around, and finally Rickea would get the ball and just go and do it. Like, you can't just be afraid, of a good defense. You have to try. So she was bringing a lot of energy. She has great stats. If it wasn't for Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese, I think Rickea Jackson would absolutely be a top rookie.
Sure.
So I love Rickea, and I would be a Sparks fan for Rickea as well.
Okay. I like that. I like that answer. Yeah. Rickea probably going to be like third or fourth in the Rookie of the Year voting, which I think is really good for them, considering they have Cam, they have Rickea, if they get Paige,
that is so solid.
like such a solid team.
Yeah.
They all fit together really well. So I'm here for that. I'm here for that from a team building perspective. Not necessarily giving LA another great player, but like whatever. The player that I feel like I enjoyed watching the most in these 3 game samples was Kia Nurse. And I mentioned earlier that she had some hot shooting in game 2, but she also had very hot shooting in game 3. And, when you're watching a team that's full of pieces that don't exactly fit together, you kind of got to find the players that, like, take your attention when you're just watching the product as a general. And Kia's ability to drive and to shoot, and to be like a scrappy defender type, I think that she'd be like almost as good as like a 6th woman, 7th woman on any of these contending teams. I think she's like a legit piece that could be very useful on a team that has like winning aspirations. Maybe I'm incorrect about that. I know she's been in the league for a long time. She was on Team Canada, so we know that she has like value amongst greater basketball at large. And just watching her like tough it out, get hurt, come back in the same game, and then play through that injury the rest of the game and come out and do well in that Aces game. I just gotta say, Kia Nurse is like the second player that comes to mind when I think about this team. Like before some of the players that maybe I should. She's just like, oh yeah, Kia Nurse is there. I don't know why, but
I mean, she makes an impact.
I'm exactly.
Yeah, she's one of the best ones.
I would say so.
Yeah.
So Kia Nurse and Kia Jackson, our favorite players this week. Next question that I have, and I alluded to this earlier, before we close it out and talk about why we think people will become Sparks fans if they're not already. How do you feel about the Sparks actually ending with the worst record this season? Do you think it's going to be them, or do you think it's going to be the Mystics?
Oh, for sure them.
For sure them.
For sure them.
Tell me why.
Because the Mystics had players that were hurt that are now back. A la Brittany Sykes and Shakira Austin.
They still haven't won. They still had just as bad of a week as the Sparks.
Well, good for us for next week. We're going to talking about the Mystics.
Yeah, get excited for the Washington Mystics.
No, I think it will be the Sparks that will finish last. I didn't know Crystal Dangerfield was also not fully signed.
Not that I'm aware of.
It's just like they are just dealing with these like short-term contracts. People keep getting hurt.
A lot of layover, a lot of turnover.
Lots of turnover. De'Erica is handling it, but I think
De'Erica Handley.
As we get closer to the end of the season, I just feel like they're not going to be wanting to try as hard as we get there. So, no, I think the Sparks will be last.
Does De'Erica Hamby end up on another team? Does she get traded? Deadline's tomorrow. There's a chance. You never know. She's a good player on a bad team. Sell her for a pick.
Yeah, but are other teams like trying to pick her up right now?
You never know. It would be a crazy time to pick up De'Erica Hamby.
Okay.
I don't know. You'll know tomorrow.
Yeah.
And if she gets traded, we will definitely be back with another podcast talking about it. But yeah, I agree. I think LA Sparks at the bottom. I don't see them winning 10 games, which would be their worst. No. I think their lowest win total is 10. Okay. I had one 10-win season. I don't think they've gone lower. I would be not surprised if they go 8-32.
8. How many games are left?
There's 6-21. There's 13 games left.
They're only winning 2 games out of 13.
Yeah, who are they going to beat?
I guess.
They're going to beat Dallas? They're going to beat Washington?
They're going to beat no one because they're the worst.
They're going to win a random game against, like, the Lynx for some reason. Like,
yeah.
I don't know.
Okay.
It could be a rest game at the end of the season. I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know.
I'm here for it.
But that's all I have to say about the LA Sparks. Any last comments about the LA Sparks?
No. Why should someone be a Sparks fan?
Pretty easy. If they get Paige Bueckers, they're cooking with gas. 125 degrees. Well, probably 500,000 degrees. The temperature of the sun.
Yeah,
they're going to be on fire.
Crazy. This horrible year to like immediately shooting up to be one of the best teams.
That's tanking, baby. That's tanking.
Good.
That's like the Wemby effect of for San Antonio. They immediately become really great team. Good team.
Yeah.
To next year, they will be a great team.
Okay.
Like, if that happens, which I wouldn't be shocked about, it'd be really good for the WNBA. It'd be very, very good for the WNBA.
Because people like LA teams.
Correct. It would bring more viewership, and which they're already on an increased curve.
Yeah.
And like, look, if you're not a follower of the WNBA, I think Paige Bueckers has the attitude and the talent to bring even more people in that aren't already watching this year with Caitlyn.
For sure.
I think it could be a second wave.
Paige is going to be more fun than Caitlyn.
At least from a personality standpoint.
Yeah.
Is that what you're implying?
Yeah.
Caitlyn's very good. Caitlyn's already better than I thought she was going to be. She not to like wax poetic about Caitlin Clark in this episode, but like she's exceeding my expectations up to this point. I do think that Paige is going to be even better, have an even better entrance to the league than Caitlyn did. And it's going to be interesting. But she might go to Washington, which we'll find out next week. What's the reason that you should become a Washington Mystics fan? Not to spoil next week's episode, but...
It'll also be maybe they can get Paige. No, look, even if the Sparks don't get Paige, I love Cameron Brink and Rakia Jackson.
Correct.
And so they have those solid building blocks to have a good team. Kurt Miller seems like a great coach. Sometimes you take a year off and figure it out a little bit.
Yeah, a gap year.
Right, that's fine.
We're taking a gap year.
So even if they don't get Paige, I think they're not just going to keep tanking. I don't think that's the culture of the W. So they will make exciting moves. I like the teal in their logo. And LA is just good vibes. In general. As opposed to like Indianapolis. Okay. I'm just saying.
Shots fired in Indianapolis.
I'm just saying.
You said it right. I think that's a perfect bow on it. The LA Sparks experience. Maybe not fun to follow this year, but certainly should be fun to follow next year. When Cam back and Rakia, another year of experience under her belt. Maybe Paige, maybe Kiki. We'll see. We'll find out. But that's pretty much it. That's it for the LA Sparks. We can put them in our book of teams that we've covered now. Thank you, listeners. Again, if you are an LA Sparks fan and you want to talk about something that we missed, please let us know. attackthebaseline@gmail.com. Connect with us on our Twitter @ATBpod_. If you'd be so kind as to leave us a 5-star review and a rating to say how much you enjoy the show, we would love that. But yeah, we're going to be back next week talking about the Washington Mystics. We've already mentioned. We've talked about some of their players before. I'm looking forward to these games. Maybe a little more than I was looking forward to LA Sparks. But that's okay. Not to throw shade. There's always something going on in the W.
Well, we'll potentially also be back tomorrow.
If something crazy happens.
It is the trade deadline.
Trade deadline. Tomorrow. Lock in. We'll see what happens with... I don't know, around the league. I'm hoping there's at least one trade, but I don't know. Tough with the Olympics. Okay. Well, then I'm looking at the baseline. What are we going to do?
Attack it.
Attack the baseline. Thank you so much for listening. We will talk to you next week. Go Washington, and enjoy the rest of the W. Ciao, ciao.